Hey, happy Wednesday. Happy Wednesday, y'all. Welcome to Mission for Mental Health. I'm your host, Jackie Robinson. Y'all know I just love doing this, y'all. I just love the people that I get to meet, the journey that I'm on, and the people that God just keeps sending my way to be a part of this thing, this gift that was given to me. I love doing this, man. And it's crazy how I get connected with people, because I get connected with people through people, and everyone has a story to tell. Like, everybody has a story to tell. And so I just get excited, and I invite them to be a guest on the show, and everybody always says yes, regardless if they're shy or not shy or whatever the case may be. Man, I just love doing this. I just enjoy learning and sharing about mental health. Like, that is my thing. I never thought it would be my thing, but guess what? That is my thing. And I got a great guest for you today. She is a life coach. So I'm getting ready to bring her to the stage. I'm going to read you her bio. Y'all are going to love her. I mean, anybody whose name is like Ferrari, it's Ferrari, but it's like Ferrari. You already know she's spicy, right? You already know she's spicy. Her name's like a fast car, like a Ferrari. But anyway, let me bring her to the stage. Hold on one second, because she backstage. Hold on. Let me get her. And she loves purple, y'all. She loves purple. Hold on. Ivana.
Hi.
Hey, girl. How are you?
I am doing well. How are you?
Hey. Welcome to the show. Thank you for saying yes.
No problem. I love talking about mental health and all things mental health.
Like, I do too. And I never thought that I would. Like, I remember I used to have these dreams that I would talk about mental health. And I'm like, I ain't doing that. I just want to be Wendy Weeds. I'm gonna be Wendy Weeds. That's what I'm gonna be. I'm just gonna be on here and be live. I'm not gonna talk about no mental health, because that ain't sexy. I don't like doing stuff. You know what I'm saying? My hair's too red and too fired to be, trying to talk about something like mental health. But guess what? I done fell in love with this thing. And I love the people that keep coming my way, God keeps sending people my way to assist me and to educate me and to educate my viewers about mental health in different capacities. Like last week, we had somebody on talking about schizophrenia. We've had it's just so many different things to talk about. So I'm glad you're here.
I'm glad to be here.
All right. So what I'm going to do, y'all, I'm going to read her bio. Just give me 1 second. I was about to say, let me put my glasses on, but I got them on. Y'all know this menopause be having you doing thinking, and child, you just wait. You going to get it one day.
Not ready.
You just wait. It's coming. All right. Y'all excuse Honey Bun barking in the background. Her owner has come home. She knows that she's here. She's doing her job, which is to bark. And so excuse her if y'all hear her. Okay. All right. Ivana Farrar.
I'll take Ferrari any day.
Farrar. But I keep saying Ferrari. She's a certified life coach, y'all. She's a motivational speaker, a former high school English teacher with over 5 years of experience, inspiring young minds. You already know she's great. Just by saying that she's a English teacher, that should be enough right there. Look, don't correct me because you know I'll break up some words in a minute. I'll break them down in a minute. She is the founder of Motivating Minds for Achievement Solutions, and we're going to talk about that, where she empowers individuals, particularly teens and young adults. That's her baby, y'all. I told y'all she was a high school English teacher. So teens, young adults, that's her thing. That's her flow right there. To unlock their potential and achieve their goals. With a master's degree from the great state of Florida, Miami University, and specialized research in student motivation, Ivana brings a unique blend of academic insight and real world expertise to her coaching. Ain't nothing like a real life, real experience having coach. You know what I'm saying? I don't want no coach. If you ain't been through nothing, I don't know how you gonna coach me.
Right.
I'm gonna need you to go through a couple things. I'm gonna need you to experience a few things before you coaching me. You know what I'm saying? She is also the author of two, not one, y'all, but two children's books and two impactful self help books. That's 4 books. Jeez. Including It's Time to Get Your Bloop, Bloop, Bloop Together. What's the bloop, bloop, bloop? Is it shit? So,
It is because like it could be stuff, it could be things, it could be life, it could be whatever you want to put right there. But I just put a bunch of little symbols. You can put whatever you want to put right there and get it together though. Period.
Get it together. And Hot Effen Mess is her book too. Which provide practical, relatable guidance for improving all aspects of life. Ivana's passion for mental health and success stems from her deep commitment to helping others thrive, even amidst life changes. Through her engaging workshops, one on one coaching, and powerful writing, she inspires audiences to take charge of their mental well being while building a fulfilling and balanced life. As a sought after speaker, she is sought after, y'all. Y'all just don't know. I'm glad she came to see little old me, man. I'm glad she came to see little old me because y'all just don't know. Ivana connects with listeners through her authenticity, her humor, her actionable advice. She's all that. Whether discussing stress management, personal growth, or leadership, she leaves audiences feeling motivated, confident, and equipped to create their own success stories. Y'all welcome her to the show, y'all. Welcome her. Welcome her to the show. I appreciate you, girl. So we connected through a great friend of ours, and I don't know if he's able to watch today, but I do want to thank him. Thank you so much, Brian, because he's just the kind of person who loves to connect people. He's a connector, you know. So I do appreciate him for bringing us together. He's like, "Hey, Jackie, I got somebody I think you should meet."
Yes, exactly like that.
And that's exactly what it did. I shared my story, and here she is for y'all. So my question for you is, let's just start from the beginning. How did mental health enter your life?
Oh my goodness. So as a teenager, I started to develop some depression, and it was immediately after I had my stepmom. I had committed suicide. It was very, very traumatic. My dad was a police officer at the time, and my stepmom took his gun and she committed suicide. It was a whole thing, and I found out by watching the news. I was at home in the living room watching the news, and I saw my dad's house, and it was like police officer's wife commit suicide. And I was just like, well, that's my dad's house. What is happening? So that kind of, I think that triggered my depression. So for about 2 years, I was in middle school at the time. So throughout pretty much my whole middle school career, I was extremely depressed. I started cutting. I was cutting to just relieve pain. I didn't have any sense of self-worth. And I was just really struggling. And I did get in therapy shortly after the incident because my dad knew like that was big. So He ended up putting me in therapy, and I've had a therapist ever since. Like, I just really value being in therapy because it helped me to understand my emotions. It helped me to be able to communicate my emotions better and just really deal with those feelings. So that was where it all started. And
Wow.
yeah, just over the years, like I have episodes where I'm down, but now I can manage it a whole lot better.
I think that's great that that your dad was able to recognize that you needed some help with therapy, because a lot of us kind of, and especially with him being in law enforcement too, law enforcement officials are kind of, police officers are kind of taught to suppress everything that they got going on. And I commend him for even recognizing, because a lot of us, even though we seen things like that on the street and stuff like that, we really don't, when it comes to our house, it's just kind of like it needs to just flow. It's
Right.
all good. It's all good. And we put things on the back burner and don't even recognize sometimes that our kids need some sort of assistance. So you're talking about middle school, 13, 14 years old, that you
Yeah.
started therapy.
I was gonna say the crazy thing about it was my dad put me in therapy because my mom told him to put me in therapy because like she didn't know what to do. And like in the 90s, early 2000s, like nobody really talked about mental health. And
Mm-mm.
and there's no fault of her own, but during that time period, she just didn't get it. She was just like, I don't understand what you are depressed about. Like, you live in this nice house on Capitol Hill, and you have a good life. We go on trips and we do things. Like, how could you possibly be sad? What are you sad about?
Yeah. And why are you cutting yourself? Did your family know that you were cutting?
Yeah, my mom ended up finding out that I was cutting. Yeah.
I know she was like, "What, girl? What?
Right. She was like, what is this?
Wrong with you?
And we don't do
You
this.
smoking weed? Like, what is wrong with you, girl? We don't do stuff like this."
Right. She was really taken aback. And that's when she called my dad, like, please help your child because I don't know what she's going through. And then that's when
Right.
he took me to therapy.
Right, right. And there's a possibility it might have just been some other things going on, that whether depression was there, we just didn't know what it was. And I guess the suicide of your stepmom just kind of like,
Yeah, because I did struggle with confidence. Like, during that time, I was not cute. Like, and teenagers always laugh at me when I say that. Like, I was a funny looking kid, and they're like, "No way!" And I'm like, "No."
right,
Like, I had acne, I had braces, I had glasses, I was flat chested, and of course, in middle school, you're not supposed to be shapely, but there were shapely girls, and I just wasn't one of them. So, I struggled with confidence for a while, and then like by the time I got to high school, like I got my braces off, I ended up getting contacts, my acne cleared up, and it was just kind of all just happened at the same time. And I think
I'll,
that's
I'll show us I'm cute, y'all. Shoot, I'm cute. I understand that, because I was toe up as a kid. Y'all excuse me, my back is itching. I don't know where my look. Oh, here it go. When I was through as a kid, like I had my hair was nappy. I know people don't like when we say that, but my hair was nappy. Okay, my hair was nappy. I had buck teeth. It was my mother. My mother didn't know how to do hair, so my hair used to stand all over my head all the time. I was like one of the only black kids in my school. I used to fight all the time. I was tall. I
Oh,
was
you was one of
taller.
those kids.
Yeah, I was one of those kids. I was taller than everybody. Everybody got boyfriends but me because I looked like a little boy, so I was a scrub. I was through. And then I guess as I got, maybe to middle schoolish, I was in, yeah, about middle school, I started to, get that Jerry curl. Sometimes as soon as I got that Jerry curl, you couldn't tell me nothing. I got that Jerry curl, and some little boy said I was cute, and I was like,
I know you lost your mind.
okay, okay, and I could run track too. Okay,
Ooh,
okay.
and you fast. You
Yeah,
cute and
so,
fast.
so I understand all that. And my parents were the same. Like, girl, there's no reason for you to be mad or sad or anything around here, because we give you just about everything. You have the world over here. So there's no need. But inside, I was feeling some kind of way. And I'm sure that has carried on into my adult life with body shaming myself and things like that.
Yeah.
So I truly understand being an ugly duckling and turning into a little swan, because I'm cute.
Right. That's exactly what happened.
Tell me nothing. So I get that. So in middle school, you got a therapist, and so you've decided to continue that through high school, or did you take breaks, or how did all that work?
So yeah, so I still currently have a therapist. I've changed therapists over the years, and I would definitely recommend to anybody. There's a website called Psychology Today. You can pick what color you want them to be. You can pick how old you want them to be, male, female, whatever you want them to be, and you can really narrow down the type of person you want to work with, because it is important that you have that connection. As a young child, it didn't matter. I had a white woman as my therapist, and it didn't really matter. But as I got older, I certain people, like I've had them all. Like I've had a older white woman, I've had a middle age white man, I've had like so many. And then the best therapist I ever had was an older Black woman, and I just felt like it was just more of a connection. Some people, and they were all great. But when you are looking for a therapist, you want to be able to feel comfortable with that person, and you want to be able to open up and not feel judged. And sometimes it's just better to go with somebody who looks like you, who you feel like you can relate to.
Yeah, who you can connect with. Back in the day, they really didn't have a lot of Black therapists. And were they pushing medication? Do you remember that, or did your parents ever tell you that they were trying to push medication off on you in high school?
Not that young, but they did try to put me on. Well, I actually asked to be on medication as an adult because I realized I had ADHD. I went to go take my teacher exam and I could not finish it. And I was like, I think I have a problem, because I don't think I've ever finished the test. Like I didn't finish the SAT test, ACTs, any standardized tests. I always ran out of time. And I was just like, I know that I could have passed this test because I saw my score. My score was pretty high, and it just wasn't passing because I still had like 50 questions. And I was like, had I answered the 50 questions, I probably could have passed it.
Right.
So, yeah, as a child, they didn't push medication on me. Because I just don't think, like, I think they, at that time, they were really pushing the ADHD kids.
ADHD medicine.
Mm-hmm. Not really depression.
Right. Wanted them to sit still. Take this medicine so your kids can sit still.
Right.
Uh-huh. Yeah, I remember that, and they used to separate them little kids when we were young.
Right, they go to class.
Put them in a little special class and things like that. Treat them different, So what was high school life like?
High school was a whole lot better. In high school, I went through some phases. I went like through this gothic phase. I was just trying to figure out who I was at that point, and I felt free enough to do that. Yeah, it was weird. Like I was just wearing all black. It happened for like a whole month. I was just wearing black stuff. I mean, I was cute, but I was just wearing all black. But that was, and I was trying to figure out who I fit in with, because I wasn't like naturally just a popular girl. Like I wasn't like cheering or doing anything that made me super popular, but I also was like cool enough to talk to the popular kids, but I wasn't a part of their group. Right. And then I wasn't like a straight up nerd either. So I wasn't hanging with them either. So I ended up having like a close group of guy friends and I just hung out with them.
Yeah. And then moving to University of Miami.
So the university, no, it's called Miami University. So Miami University is actually in Ohio. And it's so weird because when I was applying, I was like, it's here. So when I was living in Ohio, I applied for Miami University because I wanted to get my master's, and throughout my master's program, I was able to do research, and that was part of my master's, was just researching, and we could pick whatever we wanted to research. And I was like, well, I want to know why our kids aren't motivated. So I spent approximately about a year and a half doing research on African-American students and motivation and success.
And what did you find? What did you discover? Why our children aren't motivated? Is it because they like to play video games all day, or is it because I don't know.
What I found was, like, for one, teachers weren't being engaging in their content, because I took that time to they were my little guinea pigs. Like I literally was just making up stuff that I thought would be fun because it was black. I just made everything black. Like everything was black. We talking about Chadwick Boseman, Chris Brown's apology letter to Rihanna, like everything that I could bring into my class that had to do with, we had a debate if Dr. Seuss was racist or not. I don't know if you remember, a couple of years ago, there was like a huge debate if he was racist. So I made them debate, and I picked whose side they were going to be on. They just had to prove it. They had to find the evidence to prove either side. So within that research, I definitely found that students, they just wanted to be engaged in class. Like they wanted to learn. They just didn't they didn't feel like the content was good enough. It was boring, and they were bored out of their minds, and they actually wanted to be successful. Because before I went into my research, I was just like, they're just lazy. They don't want to do anything. But once I started pulling out all types of assignments that they could relate to, that's when I realized like they just weren't motivated to do the work.
But teachers have a curriculum that they have to follow. So how
Right,
far?
exactly.
Oh,
So what I found early on in my teaching was that we have to teach standards. We don't have to teach specific content. So the standards are the state standards, like the students should be able to do this at the end of 11th grade. They should be able to read a text and identify symbolism, whatever. But we did not have to teach specific content. So I was just like, what? I had free reign to do what I wanted here. So that's when I just started pulling anything into the class. Another thing that I wanted to mention about the motivation piece was that when students feel like their teachers are listening to them and they feel heard, and when teachers are intentional about finding out why their students aren't showing up as their best selves, like actually really having real conversations. Hey, like I noticed that you haven't done any work all week. Are you okay? And I also realized that in order for teachers to do that, they have to be in the right mental space. So that was like a whole nother project that I had.
That's a whole thing in itself, because it's hard to show up as your best self when you're not getting paid the way you should be paid, when your classroom is oversized, when you're not given the resources that you need, when so it's kind of hard to show up as your best self. And I get it. You have our kids' lives in your hands as far as education is concerned, so I can get the burnout that they experience, but also the responsibility that you have. So sometimes you got to set some of that aside in order to bring your best, in order to get these kids. Because I hear my daughter talk about these teachers all the time, every day. I know who's the cool teacher, who's not the cool teacher, who's the fun teacher, who's not the fun teacher, who's the loud teacher, who's not the loud teacher. Like I hear about all that stuff all the time. So I get how that works. So after your research, what made you go into the field that you are? I know you were an English teacher, but what made you stop doing English and doing what you're doing now? Or what are you doing now?
So currently I am a young adult life coach. So I work with families. I work with students one-on-one to help them set short-term and long-term goals and build better habits so that they can be successful after high school. So I also work as a senior advisor part-time at a high school, because I just love high school students. Like I just love them because I feel like they're so misunderstood. And I also feel that they're kind of just written off when they get to 15, 16. A lot of adults write off teenagers because they're like, you got it. You pretty much got to figure it out. You can cook, you can clean, you can drive. And it's like, we can't just leave them like that. Like their brain isn't even fully developed until like later, like way later, mid-20s. So to just let them go off and just, you got it, you got to figure it out. So when I realized that, I was like, I have to fix this problem. So I literally was in my last year teaching, and I was like, just really paying attention to my students that weren't producing. And I knew them well enough that they were smart, right? And these were students who weren't on IEPs, who I knew could achieve greatness just based off of what I knew about them, but they weren't producing. Right. So when I started to really like study them like lab rats, and I was just like, what if I talk to you every day and I really drove it home that success is what you're aiming toward. It's not a grade. You're trying to aim towards success. And what success looks like is you graduating and being great outside of high school. Like, what is your life? What do you want your life to look like? And having those real conversations and helping them to understand that whatever habits that you are currently developing, practicing, like these are habits, and habits are real. So I actually started reading. I read a lot when I was younger, and then I didn't really read as an adult because I was too busy. But my last year of teaching is what really kind of like catapulted me into this self-help journey. And I read this book called High Performance Habits. And in that book, he talks about like high performers. And what is a high performer? What does a high performer look like? What is a low performing individual? And I came in my class one day after I read it. I was like, look, y'all, you got to pick a side. Are you going to be low performing or high performing? There is no middle. Either you're going to make excuses and not do your best, or you're going to achieve all that you can achieve. You're going to keep trying when you fail, and you're going to push to be the best version of yourself every day. You're going to show up 100% without excuses, and you have to pick a side. And when I put it to them like that, I did see a shift in behavior, because nobody wants to be considered a low performing individual. Like,
absolutely.
They didn't want me to be like, oh, you're a low performer. So that's what started. So what I ended up doing was I started a small group, and I just picked the students who were failing more than one class. Any students who were failing more than one class, more than two classes. If they were failing more than two classes, I got them into a group, and we would talk after school. We would talk about their grades. They would look at their grades. Why are you failing this class? Do you need to turn in work? Have you talked to this teacher? And just being intentional, because I think that they didn't know that they could advocate for themselves. And that was that was their biggest
they thought all we could do is listen to do what the teacher says.
Right.
So what tools did you give them to make them more motivated, besides, do you want to be achiever or low achiever, a high achiever or low achiever? What tools did you give them to motivate them to become high achievers?
Just having those intentional conversations, being intentional about the conversations that I was having, and helping to hold them accountable. And even as adults, sometimes we just need an accountability partner. I remember one time I was struggling with organization, and I had a friend who was also on this organization journey, and just having someone else who was working on the same thing, it was just really nice to have somebody hold me accountable. She was like, hey, take a picture of under your sink when you're done. So even as adults, we just need accountability. So just letting them know that I was paying attention to them, because they don't want to keep explaining why they're not improving. Like, why do you still have an F in this class? Oh, I'm still not. Like, they didn't want to have that conversation. So just being intentional in those conversations helped a lot.
And holding them accountable to their work.
Yep.
How many kids did you have when you started this?
I had a group of like 15.
That's a lot.
Yeah, I had a group of 15 students who I knew were great. And I was just like, I don't know why you're not being great right now, but I know you are. So we're just going to talk about it. We're going to talk about it until I'm blue in the face, until you get tired of hearing me, until you change your behavior, because I wanted them to be successful. And I just saw some of those students. Oh my goodness. I almost cried. Okay. I went to visit the high school that I worked at, and I saw several of the students who I was always on their case. And I was just like, how are you guys? Are you better now? Like, literally, I asked, are you better now? And one of them was like, yeah, I'm taking college classes. I was just like, no way. Like, these are kids who were just outright just like blowing it. Okay. Blowing it. One of them, I was like, are you still doing track? He was like, no, I tore something. I hurt something, so I can't do track anymore. I was like, well, you got to do something else. You're a senior. You got to look good on paper. Are you going to join student government? He was like, oh, yeah, I'm part of student government. I was like, what? And it's like everybody was just doing so much better. And it was really, it just made me feel so good. I was just so proud of them for just doing better than the last time I saw them.
What do you think is the optimum age to start something like that with these kids?
I would say middle school. I wouldn't even say middle school. I would say freshman year of high school. And here's why. I noticed just from working, I didn't work. I worked in a middle school. I wasn't a teacher for an extended amount of time, but I have worked in middle schools. And what I noticed about middle schoolers was that middle schoolers feel like they got it all figured out. So middle schoolers are at this nice place where they know how to make their own sandwiches and they feel like they know stuff. So it's like, you can't tell them anything really, because they think they know, because they're the grownest that they've ever been. So, but by high school, it's like they're a little bit more receptive because they start to understand they don't know everything. So that's why I love high school so much, because I feel like it's easier to mold them. Like it's so much easier to mold a high school student because they're open, because they know that they were a hot mess in middle school, and now they're like, okay, maybe I'm not all this hot, like I'm not hot stuff. Let me listen. So I would say freshman year in high school, because like I said, middle schoolers, you can't tell them nothing. So you can try,
Yeah.
but I would say ninth grade for sure.
Yeah, especially when you start, because in ninth grade it goes by fast. High school goes by really fast, and you can see a big difference from a high schooler who comes in at 14, and now they're in the 11th grade and they're like 16, 17 years old, driving and everything like that, and they kind of get to an age where they're failing so bad that they quit. Like
Mm-hmm.
I'm just so far behind that and then you have all these other influences that are coming along with it too. Hey, you want to, cut school, smoke some weed. You want to cut school, you got to go
Right.
hit this lick
Yeah.
right quick. You got all these different influences. I remember years ago when I was working in my old agency, and we would respond to these burglaries and these arrests. They're kids. I'm like, bruh, if you was just in class like it was supposed to be, we
Right.
wouldn't be going through this right now. And when
Right.
I'm calling your mama, and your mom's like, I dropped him off at school this morning. Yes, ma'am, you dropped him off at school this morning, but guess what he did when you left?
He
He
left.
left school too.
He left it.
You went to work and he went to work.
You're
So,
right. Oh
but
no.
some of those kids were just following. They weren't
Mhm.
really bad, but they were on their way. So, and what you would find is when we would get their school records, we would see, you ain't passing nothing. You not, it's kind of like, well, they're gonna end up kicking me out and sending me to alternative school at some point anyway. you
Right.
know yeah, and I think something like this would be beneficial for alternative school students too, because they kind of feel like everybody didn't gave up on us.
Right.
And I'm here. I might just be here because I can't read, because these
Right.
pandemic babies, bless their little heart, they're struggling with people skills, learning skills. And when did they take phonics out of school? Like, when did we stop when do we get rid of that stuff? They don't know how to sign. They don't know signature. They don't know, everything's on what do you call
Everything's on a
it, a
computer.
phone book. They don't give books anymore. Just things have just changed so much. But I'm just saying, I think that would be beneficial for alternative school kids as well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. Those are the students that I really want to work with, are the students who are struggling just because of so many outside factors. And a fun fact, because I work with young adults during this drug prevention program, and I do this one activity where they have a list of different words that they want to see in their future and things that they don't want in their future. And a overwhelming amount, no matter how many times I do it in this seventh grade class, they always say they want to be accepted. Like it's always accepted.
Oh,
Acceptance is the every time they all pick acceptance. They got to pick four, and everybody pick out of like 27, and then everybody picks acceptance as one of them. And it's so interesting because that explains a lot. It explains why middle schoolers are such a hot mess. Like they will just do things because they want people to think that they're cool so that they can fit in. So
yeah. And then you have to be careful, because you want to be accepted by who
right,
or by whom. Who
right.
do you know? Who do you want? Who are you looking acceptance from? Is it acceptance from family, or is it acceptance from the cool kids, or is it acceptance from the street kids, or is it accepted from the good kids? Who, it just depends on who that acceptance, who you're wanting it from as well.
Right.
What let's talk about your business here. Motivating minds for achievement solutions.
Yes.
What is that about?
So, Motivated Minds for Achievement Solutions came about after I did my research, after as I was working with these students. I was like, I need to create a program that helps teachers to show up better in the classroom. So, my company trains teachers on how to be culturally responsive in their teaching, so how to make their teaching relevant to students, while also talking to teachers about their own mental health so that they can pour into their students, because part of culturally responsive teaching is showing up for your students and knowing what they need, but you can't really pay attention to anybody else's needs if your own bucket isn't full. So I started Motivated Minds for Achievement solution for teachers primarily, and then I branched off and started with the coaching, because I realized like I want to help both. Like I want to help teachers help students, and I also want to help students to be successful.
Absolutely. I like that. I shoot, all companies need that. Shoot, not just teachers. We all need that. So does the company provide the resources that the teachers need as far as mental health counseling and things like that? Like, is there, I mean, how do you know someone is struggling with their mental health?
Oh, they will tell you. They will tell you.
Mm-hmm.
Because just sitting down with teachers, and when they say they feel overwhelmed, they're stressed, it's like, are you seeing anybody about this? Because like, how are you showing up for work 40 plus hours a week and you feel this way? Like, no, please go see somebody. So no, I don't provide the services, but I do give them resources.
Yeah, yeah. Are they using their EAP, or is it, or are there other resources that they can use? Just in case I got some teachers watching, you never know.
So I typically just direct them to the websites that I know, and just resources that I have. I just direct them there.
Absolutely. Okay. And then what happens after that? Once we get these teachers' mental health on track, and then what do we do?
And then we do the training and the culturally responsive teaching. So like looking at their curriculum to see like, what are you teaching these, especially if you have predominantly African American students, what is it that you're teaching, so that we can figure out like why they're not producing? Because if you're just, teaching the same thing you've been teaching for the past 10 years, obviously that's not relevant. So why are we still talking about stuff that's old? And things are constantly changing. We need to stay current.
So, and I guess you could also give them the techniques that you were using earlier to motivate the students.
Yes.
You talked about how you would bring in, the letter that Chris Brown wrote to Rihanna and things like that, things that are relevant or interesting to these kids.
Yep.
Yeah.
Everything.
So your focus is mostly teachers, not the children, or is it both?
It's both. Right now, when I first created the company, it was for teachers primarily. And then I realized like I just want to focus on teenagers. Like adults get on my nerves. I would rather, and it's funny because I have adult clients too. And it's so funny because the adult clients I have are having the same issues that my teenagers are having. And I have to have these same conversations with them. Like, are you having time to yourself? Are you making sure that you have time to decompress at the beginning or the end of the day? Are you making time for your mental health? Are you making a to-do list? Are you like all the things that people aren't doing? Like nobody's doing it. Like adults don't know what they're doing. Teenagers don't know what they're doing. So that's why I started taking adult clients. I was just like, geez, y'all need help too.
Absolutely. 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 You got a question. What tips can you provide to parents of kids struggling with being bullied?
Oh, that is a good question. So I was bullied during that time in middle school when I was struggling with my mental health because, like I said, I was not cute. So I definitely was getting picked on by boys. I would just say, really have conversations with your teen and helping them build that confidence, making sure that they participate in things that help them to build their confidence. So, for example, my 9-year-old is a very confident individual because I have not only do I talk to her often, but she was in track. And when she was in track, she won a lot of medals. So when you are winning, it's kind of hard for anybody to tell you otherwise. Like you're a winner. So making sure that they participate in things where they know that their voice is heard, that they can take pride in who they are and actually show up for themselves and feel good about it.
Yeah. I wasn't bullied as a kid. I was a bully.
Oh, you were
But
the
oh,
baby.
and I was always afraid. I don't know how old you are, but they used to have this these talk shows. You know, Oprah used to do it, and Sally Jesse Raphael used to do it, and they used to bring like the bully on the show, right? And the bully would think that they're there for some great prize or reunion with somebody great or whatever, but they were actually there to be confronted by the people they've been bullying. And I was afraid that one day somebody's gonna ask me to get on this. Oh my God, when I was horrible as a child, but I was a bully because I was being picked on. Like I was a bully because I was bullied to a point, but I learned to be a better bully. So I was just like that because of my own personal stuff. I would
That and
never
that's
bully
another
my
thing. That's another thing too, like helping your teen to understand, or your child through teens, like helping them to understand, like people who are bullying are hurt people.
Yes, I was a
Like,
hurt person.
my daughter, like, and I'm not just saying this because she's my daughter, but she's a gorgeous, and she has green eyes, and she said some little girl called her ugly, and I was just like, let me tell you something. I was like, she is saying that because she doesn't feel good about herself. I said, you don't go around talking mean to people, do you? And she was like, no. I said, because you are confident in yourself. So helping her to understand, like, if
Yes,
anybody's ever saying anything negative to you, especially about the way that you look, please know that they are
right,
jealous
right.
and just mean. They're just jealous of
It's
me.
just being mean. Yeah. Hurt people hurt people. I know. That's probably why I was doing what I was doing, you know. All right, and you have another question. Good evening, ladies. How are your students reacting to the push to remove Black history from the classroom?
So I left the classroom prior to this big thing. And to be completely honest, if I was still in the building, like, I would still do it. Like, I'm pretty sure my students are like, this doesn't make sense, because we would have these very deep conversations. Like, we talked about race all the time. And I would probably, if I was still in the classroom, my job would be on the line, because I'm not going to stop talking about it. I
Right.
had so many conversations about race and so many controversial topics. And I did it because I wanted my students to be exposed. I wanted them to be able to have intellectual conversations and not just kind of just pick a side because it sounds like the right side, but actually, stand up for what they believe in, and have some backing behind it.
Yeah. It's unfortunate, it's unfortunate that this is happening to our kids. A lot of kids they don't know our history anyway, and it seems like we're being more and more far removed from them knowing, except the basic Martin Luther King. Some of them, a lot of them don't even know who Malcolm X is. At least we knew Malcolm X. They just don't know because we don't. I guess they feel like we made it, so we don't have to talk about it anymore.
Right.
No,
No,
we got to talk
you
about
gotta
this.
definitely gotta know your history so you don't repeat the past.
Gotta know. And and other children, just like how we learn y'all their history, they need to learn ours. I don't see anything wrong with any white child learning about Black history. I mean, it doesn't necessarily mean that you're gonna go home and just be so distraught because of what your ancestors did to our people. Trust and believe. You're not gonna be. It's not gonna kill you, but you do need to know. You need to know. You need to know. But that's a good question, Dr. Bretta Grant. I appreciate that. Thank you so much for your questions. Let me get back because I forgot we was talking about when the questions came up.
those, those were some good questions for sure.
Yeah. So Miami University is not in Florida.
No, so University of Miami is in Florida, but not Miami University. That's in Oxford, Ohio.
Okay, I got it now. Got them pumped up Florida. I'm like, girl, she from Miami, y'all. Don't you look like she been in the sun? She from Miami. So let's talk about your books. You got some children books. What made you write these children's books? What are they about? What are the names of them and what are they about? Let's talk about these books.
Okay, so my very first book that I ever published was called Stop Phoenix, because my youngest daughter, her name is Phoenix, and she's 5. And when she was 2, she was in that phase where she was just doing stuff. And I was just like, are you nuts? Like, she done threw her Apple Watch in the trash. She done threw it was like a Chick-fil-A sandwich. She like took a bite and threw it in the trash. She was getting into all types of lotions and creams and everything she wasn't supposed to do. And I was like, I should write a book about you. So it was during COVID. And I was just like, I never wrote a book before, but I've always wanted, I've been a writer since I was a kid. And I talk about that in the books that we'll talk about later, my recent self-help books, but paying attention to like, what have you always loved? Because I've always loved writing. So when I wrote that book, I was so excited because I was like, oh, I always wanted to write a book. This is my chance. I can write about Phoenix. So it's called Stop Phoenix. And in the book, Phoenix is getting into things, and her older sister, so her first name is Farrar, which is my last name. She has her dad's last name, so her name is Farrar. So her sister Farrar is chasing her throughout the story, trying to get her to stop doing things, like stop Phoenix. So she's yelling, stop Phoenix, every time she gets into something. And then by the end of the story, Phoenix is actually helping to clean up the mess that she made, and they fall asleep on the couch. So cute.
Oh.
So that was Stop Phoenix. And
we used to call that terrible twos. They don't
right.
say that anymore. Is that a word they don't say anymore?
I don't hear it as much. Oh, okay. It's still a thing though.
I guess because everybody my age don't have no 2-year-old.
Right. And so then my second children's book, it was a poem that I wrote while I was getting my master's. Like I had literally had a class. It was the easiest class ever. We just wrote stuff. We wrote stories, wrote poems. It was great. I loved it. So I wrote a poem, and it mimicked the style of, you remember the poem, Hey Black Child? Uh-huh. So I wrote Hey Young Girl, and Hey Young Girl is a poem dedicated to young Black girls about just being beautiful. And it just has a lot of beautiful images of beautiful Black women that my illustrator just came up with off the top of his head.
Wow. The first young lady that asked you a question, she does publishing. She teaches people how to she was on a few weeks ago, and she teaches people how to self-publish their own books.
Oh, awesome. Yes, I hired somebody to help me publish my first book. So that's awesome.
Well, you don't want to do that no more. I got somebody who teach you how to do it yourself.
Yes.
Yep. So I think that's great. I love how, we're all out here. I would love to write a book, but I have so many layers. I have so many layers. I don't even know where to start. I have so many layers about my life. That, and then I don't even know if I want to share it all. I might, I got to wait for some people to go to glory before I can share everything. I don't know. Maybe I can just change the names. Well, I don't put it out there, so they already know it's going to be them. I don't know. But, I have so many things to share, so many stories that I can tell. But yeah. All right. So the second book.
So that was so.
Oh yeah, the poems. I'm sorry, the poem. Yeah.
So those are the first. Those are the kids' books.
Book number 3. I'm on book number 3.
All right. So it's time to get your stuff together. I wrote for and about my students. Like when I was in the classroom, and I realized that these students were missing some very important foundational skills, just like communication. Helping them understand how their subconscious works, because that is so important. If people don't understand that when you say something negative to yourself, it's there. It ain't you. You're not just putting it out. You're putting it in.
Oh yes.
So just things like that. They were there because I talked to them all the time, and I was like, "Oh, you don't know this, do you? You don't know this. There's a lot that you don't know." So all these different things that I had all the conversations that I had, all the different skills that I taught my students as a teacher, I was like, I need to put this in a book. Like I need to put it in a book, and I want this to be next to all the places you'll go when you graduate. Like this needs to be, you get all the places you'll go, and then your parents will also hand you, it's time to get your stuff together so you can go through young adulthood as seamlessly as possible.
Yeah. Do you miss the classroom?
I do. I just really I don't miss grading essays. I don't miss making lesson plans, but I just miss being amongst my students and being a part of their lives, because I I know that I made a huge impact, but to make a post on Facebook, like I'm so grateful for my students, and they just come out the woodwork like, "We love you, I love you, I miss you, I love you." I'm just like, "Oh my
Oh,
God, don't make me cry because I miss y'all too."
yeah.
Like, yeah, that was.
Do you substitute teach?
I did for a
You
brief
you can
time.
dip in and out every now and then.
I did briefly, and then my schedule got kind of hectic. So
Okay, so no more teaching.
no, I may go back for a short time. I may go back. It depends. I may go back one day.
Maybe when the girls get a little older, you may want to be in their school.
Yeah, yeah, I would love to. I would love to be in the school with
Yeah,
my kids.
yeah. I like that reframing your thought process. It's funny that you mentioned that because my daughter, she's 16, and she sent her dad a video about reframing your thought, like the words that you speak. Be mindful of the words that you speak because you can speak that into existence. So
Mhm.
this one was about thinking. And the way that you think about certain things, you can think things into existence or think things are there or real that are not, or just have these negative thoughts in your mind when you don't have to have these negative thoughts in your mind. So she sent it to him, and then he turned around and sent it to me. And I can't remember the preacher's name or whatever the story was, but that's basically what it's about, was like reframing your thoughts. So that is correct. Like, you have to be careful. There's power in the tongue.
Yeah, our minds are so powerful, and that's why I had to make that the first chapter. I wanted people to understand that when you say things, they stick. Like they don't just go away. Like everything that we are, how we act, how we respond to certain things is based off of what we've experienced. And when we hear certain things about ourselves, when we see certain things, we develop our personality around these things, whether you don't like
Right.
vegetables because your parents made you eat broccoli all the time. So now you hate broccoli, or, you had a teacher who told you that you weren't smart. So now you don't have that confidence. Like
Yeah.
every little thing that we hear, everything that we experience becomes a part of who we are. It gets stored in our subconscious, whether you want it to be there or not. So
Absolutely.
in that chapter about your subconscious, called Plant the Seed, is literally a magical super soil that will just automatically start growing stuff. So we have to be very intentional about what we say to ourselves, how we and just how we show up overall, because it'll just stick there and it'll just stay there until we pull up the weed and say, you know what, I am intelligent, I am a hardworking person, because it will
Mhm.
just, whatever you say, it'll go back there and it'll grow, and you don't have any control over it until you change your reframe your thoughts.
That's a good uh parent first time parent book as well. Like they always say, oh, there's no book that teaches how to raise these kids or whatever. But that's a good first time parent book too, because we have to be careful on how we speak to kids. Like, I have kids that range from 35 down to 16. I'm not the same parent. I know, when I look like I'm only 35 myself.
Right.
I get it. I get it. I get it. Um, I'm not the same parent that I was with the 35-year-old that I am with the 16-year-old. When I was 30, when I had when I was 18 years old, I didn't know nothing about no kids,
Right.
no, what is this thing? What is this thing? What am I supposed to do with it? And even when I had the next three, back to back like that, the twins and the other one and the twins, it was life was very hectic at the time. So, I would talk to them. I'm just always screaming and hollering and going crazy because I'm exhausted, because I'm trying to make it, I'm trying to live, I'm trying to, and I'm sure I've said a lot of hurtful things to these kids where they're like, you know what? Can I get a do-over? Because this one here, she ain't good, versus the youngest one. Now, the youngest one, I'm a little more you know what I'm trying to say.
Yes. Intentional.
When I'm speaking with her, because I have more patience, I've experienced a lot of life. I've learned. I've watched how I screwed up the 35-year-old. I ain't screw them up, but I'm just saying, I have a lot of I have a different thought process now. And so
Right.
I believe that, there's power in the tongue and the way you speak to people and the things that you say about yourself.
Mhm.
That is that's what I'm giving you new market that you can sell that book to first time parents. Practice on them kids on speak positivity and speak life into your kids, because when you say something to them, that's not appropriate or negative about them, they're gonna remember that junk forever.
Oh yeah. Yep.
My dad used to always say, "Girl, I don't know why you be out here trying to dance. You know you can't dance." I
And now
believe.
you don't even try, do you? That's it.
Well,
There you
to be honest, I don't have any rhythm. But I never would want to dance around anybody because my father used to make me feel like embarrassed to try, or even, you know, even though I really don't have no rhythm, like I really don't have no rhythm.
go.
but, but it's a lot of women out here without no rhythm who ain't got no shame. You know what I'm saying? So I never would, because I always was ashamed, because of what he had said to me as a kid. So I wholeheartedly agree with that right there. That's a great book. That's a great book. And what's book number 4?
So book number 4 is Hot Effen Mess. And it's actually not out. I released it on my birthday, which is next Wednesday, March 5th. And yeah, I'm so excited because here's Hot Effen Mess. So after I wrote It's Time to Get Your Stuff Together, of course, I let adults see the book, and adults flipped through the book, and adults read the book, and they were like, adults need this book. It's so many adults that need this book. And I was just like, you know what? I'll go back and I'll rewrite it and I'll change the examples because there's a lot of student examples, and the other one really geared towards teenagers specifically. So I was just like, you know what? I will do that. I will make a self-help book for adults, because here's the thing. I read so many books. After I stopped teaching, I read a plethora of self-help books ranging from just mental health to organization to so many different self-help books. And I was like, I have a lot of knowledge, and everybody's not going to sit down and take time to read all these books. So how about I take the knowledge that I gained and I put it in these books? So I wrote It's Time to Get Your Stuff Together, and then I did Hot Effen Mess because adults need help as well. So that is Hot Effen Mess.
Absolutely. It is absolutely necessary. It's absolutely needed. We are all a hot effing mess. I ain't even gonna lie to you. Like, we can
And
all find.
that's why I wrote it. I said that's why I wrote the book, because for a long time, literally up until like I stopped teaching, which was like at the maybe right before I turned 30, I was like, I'm just a mess. And I kept saying it, right? And I say that in the book, that I kept calling myself a hot mess, and that wasn't helping me. Like me calling myself a hot mess. And I say that in the book. I'm like, I wouldn't be able to call you a hot mess if I wasn't a hot mess myself. But I am at a point in my life where I'm the happiest that I've ever been. People don't make me mad anymore. Nothing really upsets me at this point, because I have found this level of peace. And it's from just all the knowledge I have about how I move as a human, and just me healing in general, healing from everything, and just being able to just see life in a different light. I'm so happy. Like I'm literally the happiest person I know. So I'm just like, I want to help people. I want to help people achieve where I am. And I had to do some things like let go of certain people. I had to learn how to set boundaries. All of this is in the book. Communication, boundaries, understanding my subconscious, leadership, all these things are in the book. And those are the things that help me to show up better.
So you're like your own life coach.
Right. Right.
You're your own life coach. One day I pray to be that happy. But life be lifing.
Life do be life.
Life be lifing. And I do understand that it's how you respond to life, right? Life is gonna life. As long as you're alive, life is gonna life. But you get a choice. You get a choice on how you want to respond to the things that are happening in life. Now I still got some childish ways, because when I be mad, girl,
I knocking stuff over.
I stays mad. I hold grudges. Yeah, that's me. I'm petty and I hold grudges. But I'm learning. I'm learning. I'm learning. It's coming with time. Even in my 50s, I'm still learning to,
Let it
to not
go.
hold those grudges, but they still there. It's gonna take a little time. But so maybe I need to get that book so I won't be a hot effing mess.
You got to. It's so
Or,
good.
you know what I'm saying? I could be learn to be my own life coach. But I do know, it's how you respond to the things that happen to you in life that's going to determine your happiness. You
And
can't
you have
let other
to protect.
people you
Yep.
can't let other people determine your happiness. And a lot of us tend to do that.
We don't know how much people don't know how much control we actually have. We have a whole lot of control over how we want to feel. And you can choose to be, I got a chapter called It's No Such Thing as a Bad Day. Like you can choose to be mad or you can choose to be like, you know what? It is what it is. Let me keep it moving.
Yeah. But sometimes, but you have to learn to work through what is causing the anger.
Mm-hmm.
You have to learn to work through what's causing the sadness or what's causing, and it comes with time. You have to learn to work through those things and be able to recognize them and then be able to say, okay, it is what it is.
Right.
Yeah. Because, sometimes we say it is what it is, but
Right. But you don't understand. Like you that is important. I'm glad you said that. That's so important. But that's why therapy is important because they help you to identify like were you sad? Were you frustrated? Were you angry? Were you embarrassed? Like those are all different. And if you can't pinpoint it, you're not gonna be able to work through it, period.
yeah, you gotta learn to work through them. So, but it comes with therapy and it comes with time. And it's a blessing that you were able to bring a therapist in your life at a very young age. And I think all kids need it, even if they're not cutting or anything like that, because you just never know what's going to happen through life. When you're a kid, you never know what's going to happen, and so when things do happen, you already know you have a source that you can tap into to help you get through what you need to get through. And if you learn how to do that young, you won't
Oh,
have to be 53 trying to still figure it out.
oh, I am a huge advocate for kids in therapy. Both of my kids are in therapy because me and their dad are getting a divorce. We're in the process of a divorce, and we moved apart. And I was like, that's traumatic. Therapy for everybody. You get therapy. You get
Therapy, yeah,
therapy.
therapy for everybody. Therapy for everybody.
Because it's not.
I,
It's no harm in having it. So why not?
I agree. I agree that it's traumatic for kids, and now they got to do the two home thing. Yeah. So absolutely, when other people start coming in your lives and things like that, they got to be able to understand how to maneuver through that. So that's extremely smart. But a lot of us, wow, I'm just so glad that you know we talk about this more freely now in our community. Because there was a time there was like, girl, we don't do that. Black
Right.
don't.
We don't do that. We
You
don't do
already know what happened in this house, stay in this house. Don't be going out there telling them folk about our
right.
business.
Right.
I'm so glad we are moving away from that.
Yeah.
So I appreciate you and in educating us about these kids and how to make these kids better, these teachers and how to make well, I call them educators because that's what they are. These
Yeah.
educators and how to make them better. Do you have like closing remarks or anything?
So I would suggest everybody grab a copy of Hot Effen Mess at mmfacoaching.com because I was very, very strategic in writing this book to make sure people got information that they just don't come across every day. I want everybody to be a better person. And I put a lot of my heart into this book to make sure that people just live the happiest life that they possibly can.
And they can purchase it from your website, mmfacoaching.com, correct?
Yep.
Same with all the other books.
Yep. And it's free shipping. So my children's books are not on there, but if somebody wants a children's book, they can email me. So yeah, they're available for pre-sale and it'll be free shipping up until my birthday on March 5th.
March 5th. Pisces, huh?
Yep. Yep. Just out here living life.
That's what they do, them Pisces. My daddy was a Pisces. My mama is a Pisces.
Oh, wow.
I know my daughter is a Pisces. Yeah, just out here just doing their thing. I appreciate you, Ivana. This was really great and informative. Hey, you guys, as I say every week, I do appreciate you guys for giving me an hour of your time, or anyone who needs to rewatch or anything like that. I just appreciate it. I feel so blessed to be able to bring this platform to you all and bring on phenomenal guests to share their knowledge with you. Um, and I just need y'all to just subscribe, like, and share, because that's the only way that we can grow this thing, right? You got to subscribe, you got to like, and you got to share it with a friend, right? Give it as a gift. Give it to somebody as a gift. That's what I say, because I'm a great gift. But you can follow me on all my social media platforms at Mission for Mental Health. I'm on Instagram, I'm on Facebook. And if you want to be a guest on the show, or if you know someone who would be a great guest on the show, you can hit me up on any of those social media platforms. You can email me, call me, text me, send a pigeon to my house, whatever you need to do. Just let me know. I would love to have you on. When If those of you that are watching, if you can hit the like button, don't forget to hit the like button. If you like what you saw, hit the like button. Also, I always try to let people know, because I never know what people are going through. If you are experiencing a crisis, or if you know someone that is experiencing a crisis, you can text 988 for the Suicide and Crisis Lifeline. You can also chat with a mental health professional at 988lifeline.org. You all do not have to suffer in silence. There are challenge resources out here for us now. Like, there's things for us out here now, and we're so grateful for it. So you do not have to suffer. I'm a good listener too. I talk a lot, but I also know how to listen. So if you need to call me, you just call me, and I just sit here and listen to whatever it is that you got to say. I so appreciate it. We have one more comment for you. Thanks for the openness. These women right here, like I said before, how people just get brought into my life. Just God just sends them. This is one that just sent her to me. She sent someone else to me, and then she got someone else that she got. Just, it's like a snowball. You know what I'm saying? But
I
those of
love
you that are watching, please patronize my sister here on her books. Y'all need some self. I know y'all need some self help out here. I know y'all do.
help yourself.
Help yourself.
Help
Be your
yourself.
own self. Be your own life coach.
Yes. I
But
love
you do
that. I love that. I'm about to
do it
steal
with the assistance of Hot Effen Mess, right?
it.
Do it with the assistance of that, right? So
Yeah.
you can get your life together. I appreciate you, girl. All of you that are watching, I appreciate you too. I will see you all next Wednesday. You all have a great week. Stand by for me for a second, Yvonne. I'm gonna close up the show, and I'm gonna talk to you at the end. I appreciate y'all. Have a great week, and I will talk to y'all later. Bye bye.